I'm not gonna lie, 2018 has been a difficult year. A lot of stuff happened, much more than most years, good and bad. In this video, I'm gonna do something a little different from what I normally do for my end of the year summary videos. Today it's going to be in a story type format. Buckle up everybody, it's a bumpy ride. So starting off, January 3rd, 2018. At this time, I was new to Discord. I was only introduced to it maybe a month before by some of the dedicated subscribers. And I was introduced to this place called Hypixel Private. Once there, I met a chill British dude named Simon, who taught me the ins and outs of Minecraft server networks while messing around with the Hypixel private server. I was super excited that I finally got the chance to collaborate with the owner of the largest and most popular server network in Minecraft. Plans were being made for me to partner my server, Subiocraft, with Hypixel to provide like a survival and skyblock alternative to all the minigames. After 2 weeks, suspicions arose that this Simon was a fake, and along the way, there were some outbursts that were quite extreme that made me trust him less and less. And I mean, at times he was a chill dude, but at other times he was a kind of scary person. So I contacted Cryptkeeper via email, and what followed was a long Discord call with me, him, and some other people in Hypixel Private. And we, point by point, proved that Simon was fake and got the Discord shut down. And since my winter breaks are only 3 weeks long, that burned up the only time I had remaining in winter break, so I was back to school already. At this point, I was halfway through my second year at RIT, and the course load was getting much more difficult. The semester before, I applied for a change of degree from computer science to game design and development. I was denied because of a low GPA. I wanted to switch because computer science is not at all what I thought it was going to be. I had taken a BOCES class during high school, and it was called programming, and it had a very heavy theme in making games, and I loved it, and I thought computer science was a continuation of that. I was wrong. So I went for the change of degree, got denied. Anyway, the classes were very difficult, and I can't apply them anywhere. Also, during that semester is when I first taught myself Craft Bucket and Spigot stuff, so I was able to produce my first plugin, Subiocraft Menu. It's the little compass thing that anyone who plays in Subiocraft, they'll know that it's like a menu. It was very simple, it just provides an inventory menu that, runs commands. So after the drama with Fake Simon, I actually was inspired to make my rinky-dink little single server into a network. So that's when I went out and got a dedicated machine at MC Pro Hosting. Of course, there was a lot of drama that happened in between that point, but let's just not mention it, as we don't want to have an hour-long video. But anyway, so Subiocraft went from one little server to a massive network of like 6 servers hosted on its very own dedicated machine. And it took a long time to set up the plugins, many months of work, and even now it's still not done. But thanks to the awesome developers of Subiocraft, we've gotten well beyond the quality of the original server, and now there are at least like 20 people on during peak time, and that's just amazing. And the server's self-sufficient. It makes just enough per month to keep itself running, and it provides, it's a great place for recording. Now I use it for Survival Island because when I move from place to place in college, I can't always pour forward, so it's great to have that server. As the semester went on, I struggled with the classwork, especially physics. So the class assigned like 4 written homeworks a week, as well as online work and quizzes and exams. It was too much, so I found out that if I kept doing things the way I was doing, I was going to fail a bunch of my classes because I was spread too thin. So I dropped physics. Dropping physics didn't look very good for the change of degree department. I had applied a second time for a change of degree and was denied again. So this is when summer vacation began. So before summer vacation began, I actually signed up for the classes for the next semester in the fall. And that was Mechanics of Programming, college physics. So I was taking physics again, computer science theory, and social psychology. So 3 of those 4 classes are extremely difficult. Mechanics of programming is affectionately called MOPS, and it is the second most difficult class in one of the most difficult degrees at RIT. So, yeah. And college physics is, physics. I figured that if I could score well in those 4 classes, oh, by the way, you're supposed to take like 5. So, like, normally I'd take 16 to 17 credits, but this semester I took like, I think it was 13 or 14 with those only 4 classes. Yeah, I think it was 14. I figured if I take 4 difficult classes, I can get through instead of, 5 easy classes. Now that I've scheduled that, I told myself you have a 3-month summer break ahead of you, Brandon. It's time to get everything that's not school related done so you can show the jerks at admissions that you deserve this degree change. Already denied twice. I'm going to apply a 3rd time after this semester and see what happens. And that's what I did. I started the summer off by licensing my very own company, Button Press Studios LLC. The company is aimed towards bringing together young developers from around the world to make their first projects a reality. It's around this time that I took out a few days to completely revamp my personal website, ThirtyVirus.com. While I was at it, I secured the domains subiacraft.net and buttonpress.org, and then created sites on those as well. Soon I had 3 websites, one for content creation and personal stuff, and the others for the Minecraft server and Button Press. After that, I began a process that would stretch on for the next 2 months, and that was getting my driver's license. It had been 4 years since I was first eligible, and now it was finally time to legally drive. So I had gone for 2 driver's tests before this. The first time I went and I had the wrong paper, so they didn't let me take the test. And then like a year later, I went back again, and then I failed because I didn't see a 2-way street that was separated by a monument. So I didn't see the way I was supposed to go, and I went down a 1-way road, so that immediately failed me. So anyway, I practiced for like an hour 5 times a week for the next 2 months, so that's a lot of hours just spent towards driving. During that time, I also continued to program plugins, now with the goal of selling them online to make some side money to help pay for school. So this is when I started working on Ultimate Shops, which is a plugin that's aimed towards servers, which promotes buying and selling of items. Then I put 2 whole weeks into rewriting the RP Games engine in C#. This is my 2D RPG game that I made in Visual Basic during my junior and senior years of high school. For those of you that are aware, I have a playlist on YouTube showing my monthly progress on the original engine. I made awesome progress remaking it in C#, finishing more than half the project in just 2 weeks, when the original took almost 2 years. Of course, I spent a lot of my free time in the summer doing recordings and live streams for YouTube. I had streamed at least 30 times. At this point, I got the ball rolling for a rebrand of my channel. So I went from a Minecraft spider to like this coder hacker guy. I felt that I needed an image that represented me as a person instead of some random mob in Minecraft. So fast forward a little bit, I finally got my driver's license. Played out like a freaking horror movie because my parallel park didn't go as planned because I was in a different vehicle than the one that I had been practicing in. So one day that's famous for my YouTube subs is August 18th, 2018. This was the day that I had decided to make an attempt at the Minecraft Bed Wars solo wins in 1 day world record. During those 24 hours, I recorded over 40 commentary videos and got 156 wins, beating the previous record by 16. Some of those videos are still on the back burner today, and they'll probably spill over all the way until February 2019. Maybe even farther now that I think about it, because the past month I haven't been uploading many of them. But these commentary videos, there are a lot of them still. So, this is when things took a turn. There were only a few weeks left on break, and I'd done more in the past 2.5 months than most people do in a year. More than I usually do in a year. I think some of you have been active enough on my Twitter and Discord to know what's coming next. So, throughout the summer, I put aside a lot of time for my relationship. Me and my girlfriend spent at least 4 days a week hanging out, and we went to a lot of events. The ones I remember most fondly were the Sugarloaf Festival, the Fireman's Carnival, fireworks by the park, hiking up Bear Mountain, and kayaking over a lake in an inflatable boat. When we weren't out doing stuff, we were at the house watching movies, having our usual weird food making adventures. We made weird stuff like Japanese pancakes, steak pocket rolls, ultimate nachos, quiche, and most recently, bakeless pumpkin cookies. Or swimming in our pool or meeting up with friends. As much fun as those events were, a thought always lingered in the back of my mind. The previous summer, she suggested that we take a break in our relationship, and understandably, I was devastated. She was my first girlfriend, and a year ago, being told that she wasn't interested in the relationship anymore, it was horrible. It was the first time in years that I'd cried. After what it must have been 2 days of begging, basically, she found it in her heart to keep going. And I never felt the same since. That short experience was one of the most painful things I'd ever felt at the time. So during the fall of 2017 and the spring of 2018, I felt a coldness, a distantness. I did what I can to try and get her excited, but oftentimes she was expressionless and increasingly apathetic. During the next year, even, she started to get jealous of me interacting with female YouTubers for collaborations. She then started to break promises, lie, and she didn't provide any motivation to have me better myself. I've been increasingly self-conscious with my weight, and I multiple times would say I'm going to the gym, I'm working out, and I guess she never took it seriously, so it made it hard to keep going. So a few days after my 24-hour recording spree, I saw the iconic words on my phone, "We need to talk." That day she had scheduled another hike together with my friend Mike, and when the day came, she was a no-show. She was out drinking with her friends the night before and hadn't responded to any texts until I got back from the hike. I felt that this was coming because she wasn't the excited, happy girl that I remembered from before. So, for weeks even, she just didn't seem the same. Later that day we talked, and she showed up in my house, broke up with me on the steps, and left. A few days later, I convinced her to meet me at a park in town. I bought her a muffin and a piece of jewelry and borrowed my mom's car, and for the first time, now with my license, drove myself to the park by myself. She continued to be as distant as ever, at this point acting like she was talking to a stranger. There was zero emotion in her face as she talked. And I asked her for one more chance, and we were sitting on the bench. And after I asked her, she got up and walked away. Got in her car and left. I didn't know what to do, so I just sat there at the bench. Eventually, I turned to my side and just was huddled on the bench. I have no idea how long I stayed there. Could have been an hour. Could have been 2 hours. I don't know. When I finally mustered up the drive to bring myself home, I did. That drive home was one of the most lonely times I've ever had in my life. A week later, I left for the most difficult semester I'd ever had at RIT, living in a basement 5 hours away from friends and family. No friends up in college except for Sebastian. The 4 months that followed were the most difficult in my entire life. In the first few weeks, I barely had the drive to get up in the morning, let alone ride my bike several miles to campus and back. Somehow I did it anyway, and spent the hours after class watching movies and snacking, trying to forget about her. I found out from an anonymous source that my ex had already, after a week, gotten to fourth base with a guy from work. This made me feel even worse, and my self-esteem took a big hit. One question I asked her before she left was if there was anybody else, and she said no, and hearing this news let me in that that was not the case. Soon the food that my parents brought up with me ran out, and I went to only drinking a meal replacement drink called Soylent. The stuff tastes like drywall, but it's cheap and kept me going, kept me energized. Other stresses raged on in my mind, including the constant bickering between my parents about money things. I'm not going to get into it, but during that time, it really was a big stress on me. But luckily, since then, it's gotten a lot better. As has been the case for the past 2 years, YouTube had been not sending videos to sub boxes like they used to, and my views have been struggling. And I was in a constant fight with the same 1,000 views per video that I easily surpassed in 2015 and 2016. During the summer, I actually broke down on stream because of this. The video's still up because I strongly believe that something needs to be done about it, and I'll own up to it, you know. Crying on camera ain't the manliest thing, but, you know, it happened. The classes got difficult very early. As I said, 3 of those 4 classes were among the most difficult in my degree. And I did everything I could to get ahead and not be left with a mountain of late assignments in physics again. When I found it in myself to continue working, I had to find a way to combat the pit in my stomach, the 24/7 sadness and pain from my first and only breakup of 3 years. I decided to continue plugin work. I finished Ultimate Shops and released it to Spigot MC. I also made a plugin called Shulkerbox Backpacks and put a ton of hours into another plugin called Uber Items, which is a plugin that adds crazy powerful items into multiplayer Minecraft. I continued to live stream so I can keep my monthly earnings up with donations to compensate for the lack of views. Along the way, I gave Twitch streaming a try, and I'm excited to say that it's proving a worthy alternative. Although I average 1/10 of my YouTube viewers, it's consistent, and the few that show up are very generous with donations. I got affiliate, and I aim to get partner by the end of 2019. The last 3 weeks of the semester, I worked harder than ever and finished everything on time, and I got decent scores in the finals. For my final project in the mechanics of programming, I spent 18 hours in one day sitting down programming, and then went to bed, and then woke up and put another 6 hours in. I don't freaking know how I find the motivation to do this, man. I believe on the Monday of the last week of classes, I still had over 20 assignments due by Friday and completed all of them on time. What ended up happening is I got pretty low scores overall in the classes, but I made it through. This nightmare semester is over, and now I have those classes behind me. Things did start to look up, though. After I came back, a little game called Hightail was unveiled, and I decided to cover it with a live reaction live stream, and then immediately decided to start making commentary videos surrounded around the game because it was something new. And I posted a video called How Much Should Hightail Cost? And the video blew up. It got several thousand views in the first day and got another few thousand views the next day, and it didn't show any sign of stopping. I wanted to cry because my channel hadn't gotten any freaking views on anything since my Quarry Junction at level 1 challenge, which was fun to see a video get that many views, but then it died and my channel was getting less than 10,000 views a day. And to those of you that don't know, the average CPM for me is about $1, so I was making like $8 to $9 a day with YouTube. Not at all suitable as a job. But I continued to make Hightail content, and the momentum just didn't seem to stop. I uploaded another video on Hightail, and it got 4,000 views. Another one, it got 6,000. Another one, and it got 25,000 views, 18,000 views. And here I am now. I did a 50,000 second live stream to celebrate 50,000 subscribers, and I got 270 subscribers in one day and almost 30,000 views. After everything that happened this year, I am extremely grateful that all of you people are here. I'm gonna be honest, YouTube is the thing that kept me grounded this whole time with all these things going on. And here we are at New Year's. So before I finish this video, I urge you all not to go out to seek out my ex and attack her. I know she treated me like a garbage person. in the past few months, but I have an obligation as an influencer not to advocate for hate. And for that reason, I never showed her name, and I urge those of you that knew her name to stay silent. Shortly after the breakup, I cut all communications for 4 months and have not texted her, have not messaged her, have not seen her social medias since. That took more self-control than anything I've done in my entire life, and I have a bunch of feelings bound up inside of me, and I refuse to interact with her. And I know in my heart that I should never see or hear from her again, for my own good. If I'm able to do this, you should be more than capable of not getting involved in the first place. You guys have no idea. Every day, I think about her, texting her, saying something, telling her how I feel, but I don't do it. Because I know, in my heart, she has a different reason for a relationship than I do. I need to find somebody that's more compatible with me, someone with similar interests to me. Now that's gonna be a freaking unicorn because I'm a gaming YouTuber, and finding someone that's okay with being on YouTube and plays games and is a nerd like me, it's gonna be tough, but I'm in the right place for it. I go to RIT after all. It's voted like the geekiest school in the US. So if I put myself out there, I might have a chance. My goals in 2019 are to better myself as a person, to increase my self-esteem, and hopefully fill the void left by my ex. I'm going to dedicate myself to running at least an hour for 5 days a week and eat vegetables at least once a day. I've also decided that I'm going to go on an almost all Soylent diet because Soylent is an extremely easy way to control the amount of calories you take in, and with the 1 hour of running, in addition to the 3 miles, I would say total 4 miles of biking every day, should be enough to keep my weight down. I've had a bit of self-consciousness about my weight for years now, started about midway through high school. My friends say it's a non-issue, but I'm doing this for me, not anyone else. I feel like I need to lessen my weight, not only for, my health's sake, but I think for just my self-esteem. I think that's the biggest barrier to entry when making new friends or meeting new people is I don't have the self-esteem. So that's my goal. That's one of my goals. I'll do what I can to stay on campus for longer and participate in more events so I can make friends and maybe even take up a sport or club. If there's anything I need, it's positive people to hang out with. Hopefully my efforts this past semester can finally end the year and a half struggle to transfer degrees so I can start to enjoy my classes in game design and development. I hope that my server and plugin dev projects is in good shape next year because I need to stop spreading myself so thin with my work. Ideally, CBOcraft, the server should just work. It shouldn't need hours and hours and hours of maintenance. So I'm hoping what happens is that once it reaches a stable state, we install a VIA version and just downgrade clients to 1.13.2 or whatever, and then update things slowly for 1.14 until it's completely ready and drop the update all at once instead of struggling with compatibility issues for months. As for YouTube, of course I want to grow, and this Hightail stuff seems to be the way to go. This is the one thing that's kept me grounded this semester is YouTube, and even though throughout the whole year basically I was struggling, these past 2.5 to 3 weeks have been a godsend. Never in my life have I seen my channel hit 50,000 views in the past 2 days or 270 subscribers in one day. I'm definitely going to jump on Hightail. I really do think it's the best thing I could do for myself right now, the best thing I could do for my channel. And who knows, by this point next year I might have 100,000 subscribers if I keep up the sub rate that I have now. Anyway guys, that's my story. That was my 2018. Overall, I got a lot done. It was a very busy year and a very sad one. I was challenged quite a bit in these past 4 months, especially because of the loss of my relationship and the difficult classes and the stresses of trying to get out of this rut with YouTube and developing plugins and all this crazy stuff. But now I think I can finally say that I've set myself up for an awesome 2019, and it's up to me what I make of it. My goals, of course, is to get fit, to be healthy, to be happy. So that's it, guys. Have a good one, and I'll see you next year. And of course, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.